Today is Saturday. The portal is glowing orange, and we've got a 2x Sacred Shard event that is currently going on. We've also got a 10x targeted summoning boost for the brand new Faction Unity champion from the Knights Revenant faction. And then finally, we have a Champion Chase tournament that is part of the Mad Hatter Fusion event. So we're going to break all of that down in today's video, and then I'm going to pull some Sacred Shards. I am Colred. This is Colred Plays Raid Shadow Legends. Let's get started. I live streamed for more than 9 hours last night. It was a great way to launch my new Hell Hades free-to-play challenge account. Thanks to all of you who hung out with me during that live stream. I had a lot of fun. If you are interested in checking out that live stream, you can just go to my main YouTube page, click on the live streams tab, and it will be the latest entry from January 10th. Now, several of you during that live stream mentioned my new hat that I am wearing right now. Yes, this is an official Colred Plays hat, and it is available in my merch store, which you can also find on the main YouTube page. As always, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and consider joining our Discord community. Thanks so much. Now let's get back to the video. Let's start by taking a look at Losan K'Leth, who is the new Faction Unity champion here in the Knights Revenant. As you can see, he is a Force Affinity defensive-based champion. Looking at his stat pool, we'll notice a relatively small HP pool and a relatively large defense pool. So under 19,000 HP, almost 1,600 defense. This, on most champions, would be a bit of a disadvantageous distribution of tank stats, right? Because there are so many sets in the game these days that ignore defense. There's so many champions and bosses that have ignored defense mechanics. And normally you would think, okay, this could be a problem. He might be a little bit squishier than we'd like, but it's not going to be a problem for Losan K'Leth. We're going to talk about why as we go through his kit. In addition, his speed is about a little bit below average, actually, I would say, but that's okay for him because we're going to want him on the slower side. Speed really isn't an issue with this guy. He's got a little bit of resistance and accuracy in his stat build, which is awesome because he's going to need both. Now, looking at his A1 Atrophic Axe, this attacks one enemy one time, and when it's booked, it has a 100% chance of placing a weakened debuff for 2 turns. That's a decent A1. I've got no problem with that A1. But the nice part is that this debuff cannot be resisted if the target has attacked this champion before this turn. So you don't need accuracy if you're going slow. Basically, you get hit, and then you can just land that weaken without any accuracy whatsoever. And again, the damage is based on defense. The A2 is an HP swap, but it's for both allies and enemies. This is the first time we've seen this in the game. It is on a 5-turn cooldown. The HP levels of all allies will be brought up to the level of the ally with the highest HP, which is awesome. Could be a full heal for everybody. The turn meter level of all allies will be brought up to the level of the ally with the highest turn meter. So again, if somebody's got 100% turn meter, everybody's going to have 100% turn meter. I believe, I'm not 100% certain, but I believe that this includes Kaleth. So he will raise his own turn meter to match his allies. And then he does the reverse to enemies. So the HP level of all enemies will be brought down to the level of the enemy with the lowest HP, and the turn meter levels will be brought down to the level of the enemy with the lowest turn meter. And then he places a taunt buff on himself for 2 turns. Again, this is on a 5-turn cooldown, which is probably a good thing because this is an extremely powerful skill. You could potentially nuke out your enemy, like your whole enemy team, as long as one person is hurt without actually doing damage. It's not a hit, so you don't have to worry about like weak hitting. You can just literally just steal everybody's HP and turn meters simultaneously. That's really powerful. This will take accuracy in order to do this because you're affecting the enemy. But again, it can't weak hit, so it shouldn't have an affinity issue whatsoever. Now we have Finality Disc, which is the first Faction Unity skill. And this attacks one enemy. Before attacking, transfers all debuffs from this champion to the target and heals this champion by 10% of their max HP. And then an additional 10% heal for each debuff transferred. Potentially, this could be a 100% heal, although likely it's going to be somewhere around a 30 or 40% heal most of the time. We'll always use this skill instead of the default when counter-attacking. So instead of using the weaken, he's going to use the skill that transfers all debuffs and heals himself. Remember that even without any debuffs, this is still a 10% max HP heal. So this is a nice bit of sustain here if you can get a counterattack onto Losan K'Leth. Now, the unity bonuses for one faction ally before attacking also removes all buffs from the target enemy. So it's a buff strip. This effect cannot be resisted if the target has attacked this champion before this turn. So again, that doesn't require accuracy. This ability will still require accuracy, so I think we're probably going to build him with accuracy because this is so strong. At least I think it takes accuracy. Let me know in the comments below if I'm wrong about that, but this should take accuracy. But everything else seems like doesn't really need accuracy, so that's a little bit interesting. For the second bonus, we'll attack all remaining enemies with less than 30% HP. This attack will ignore 100% of each target's defense and cannot be critical. This could be an extremely hard hit. This combo right here really makes me feel like this is a great PvP champion. We're going to be seeing a lot of them in PvP. This skill and this skill can both be used in PvP. And because this first one can't be resisted, and this third one potentially can't be resisted here, this first bonus, if he's been attacked, then you're going to want to build him a little bit slow so that the enemy gets a turn, and then you don't have to worry about accuracy at all. Finally, the third bonus is this skill deals 100% more damage to enemies who have attacked this champion before this turn. So again, if he goes slow, he gets all of these extra benefits from being hit once, right? Basically, he's been attacked, and then he gets to go, and he gets all these benefits. But here we've got a passive. This is also kind of a crazy passive. Every time this champion loses 25% HP or more from a single hit, places a block damage buff on this champion for one turn. This doesn't have a cooldown. Every time he loses 25% HP or more from a single hit, he places a block damage on him. That could just fire every single turn, potentially meaning it would take 5 hits to kill this guy. Yeah, it's going to be tricky to get him off the board. The unity bonuses for one ally, when attacked, has a 50% chance of placing a True Fear debuff on the attacker for one turn. Can't be resisted. So a lot of things can't be resisted here. Again, kind of wondering about that accuracy. The second bonus is ignore defense effects on this champion are decreased by 100%. This is the bonus that everybody's going to want, right? We talked about him having a low HP pool, but a high defense pool. Potentially, he's going to have perfect HP, like, efficacy, right? His HP will all count because the defense is not being ignored. Or maybe a better way to look at it is that his defense will all count because it can't be ignored, right? So his effective HP will just be as high as possible. With 3 faction allies, when attacked, has a 20% chance of activating an instant turn effect on this champion. Occurs once per skill, which is also pretty bonkers. And then his aura gives allied defense in all battles, plus resistance to Knights Revenant. This is a very strong champion. He's going to be very strong in PvP, where I think a lot of people are going to focus him, but he's actually incredibly strong in PvE as well. There are tons of bosses who have ignored defense mechanics. Think of like Ice Golem, right? Ice Golem, with the minions up when he nukes, can ignore 100% of your defense, except this guy can basically turn that off. I can just say, nope, I don't care. And remember that these faction unity bonuses, I believe, activate even when the allies are dead. So you can just put a couple of faction allies in here. He might end up soloing Ice Golem quite a bit. I don't really know. We'll have to see. Remember, he's got that sustain in his kit, in a bunch of different places. So yeah, this could be a fun champion in a lot of locations. Let me know what you think about Kaleth in the comments below. Moving on to the Champion Chase tournament. One thing you'll notice about this tournament that's different than anything we've seen before is that we have relic materials for the Forge that are specific to this event. So there are 2 new relics that have been introduced to the game specifically for the Alice's Adventure event, and you can get some of those Forge materials right here in this Champion Chase tournament. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Forge, and we'll go over these 2 new relics. Just jump down here to the relic index, and up at the top, you can see there are 3 tabs. Go over to the event group, and we've got the Hatter's Reserve and the Cat's Gaze. So we'll take a look at the epic first. The wearer receives 5% less damage from enemies whose attack is lower than the wearer's. Also inflicts 5 more damage to enemies whose max HP is lower than the wearer's. So this feels like a either or kind of scenario. If you have an attack-based nuker, you can get a bit more HP, attack, and crit damage onto them, and then they're going to receive 5% less damage from most of the enemies because they're going to have the highest attack, right? Or you can go with an HP-based champion who's going to inflict more damage to enemies whose max HP is lower than the wearer. So if you have a max HP nuker, they're going to inflict more damage, not take less damage. It's going to be hard to find a scenario where you can get both of these things happening. I'm sure there are some ideas out there. So if you have one, let me know that in the comments below. I'd like to think of a champion and a fight where you could get both bonuses. But again, the stats are also decent. Good amount of HP, a little bit of attack, and 11% crit damage works for any damage dealer of any type. So it's a decent epic relic. I don't think it's overpowered. This is the one we're likely going to get, of course, because if you can't get the legendary, it's going to default down to the epic when you actually forge your relics. But let's take a look at the legendary, the Cat's Gaze. As you can see, this is also crit damage, attack, and a little bit of defense. Wearer ignores 10% of the target's defense when attacking enemies with higher max HP. And this is going to be true for most of your attack-based nukers, maybe some of your defensive-based nukers, but probably not too many of your HP-based nukers, unless you're going up against a boss. If you're doing a boss fight, you're going to get a lot of extra crit damage plus that ignored defense, and this will stack on top of things like Savage Gear. So I do think this is the more desirable of the two relics. Makes sense. It's the legendary. We're going to hope we can all pull this from our forge materials, but likely a lot of us are just going to end up with the Hatter's Reserve, which isn't a bad thing. A free epic relic, not bad, right? So you may want to consider going back to that tournament page. You may want to consider what you need to do to get these forge materials for these relics. So 5,500 points here will get you 100 of the legendary forge materials. Remember, you don't have to do this entire champion chase with shards. This is a champion chase. You get points when you get the champions. So if you have fragment champions sitting in your portal, or permanent fusions, or even just going into campaign or pulling mystery shards, there are all sorts of different ways you can get champion chase points here. One important thing to remember is that this is a hybrid fusion event. So if we go to the fusion tab, remember that if you pull Dawncaller Sabbatha during this champion chase, you're actually going to get points for her. So I do have one epic's worth of fragments. I will be pulling that right now. Let's just do that right now. Get our points for Sabbatha. And this should be, I believe, going to be 350 points. Because she's a void epic, you get 100 extra points here. And there it is, 350 points towards your tournament. So if you have not yet collected enough fragments to summon a Sabbatha, you're going to want to do that before this champion chase is over. That just starts you with a nice little 350 point, head start. And then in addition, I've got a Revenant summons. So I'm also going to do that. And then we're going to get into the actual shard summons. I'm not going to probably be pulling any of my fragment champions if I can help it. But again, I need to kind of calculate what my return is going to be. So right now, I'm not 100% sure. This is a 2x Sacred Shard event. And so I am thinking, I want to chase this Losan K'Leth. I want this champion. And I do have, what is it, 26? I have 26 Sacred Shards. So I have a bit of leeway here. I don't know that I want to overshoot. There might be a really important Hero's Path or Deck of Fate in the near future. There's usually one during this event. But during the last event, the Asgard Divide event, I waited and I saved all my Sacred Shards because I kept expecting that Freya event to happen, and they left it all the way for the end of the 12 weeks. They put it all the way at the end. And so I, was playing a little bit too safe to get that guaranteed champion. And in the end, not only was that event awful, but I kind of missed out on some other opportunities during the event. So I'm going to try to not repeat that mistake this time. I'm probably going to pull at least 10 shards here. If I hit really early on my legend, 2x legendary, I don't know that I'll keep pulling. But I'm happy to go down all the way to maybe like 10 or 12 sacred shards. I think that's fine because I'm going to have time to build these back up. But if I'm just a few hundred points shy, I may go into my fragment pool and, pull another epic or maybe pull my dupe Freya or something. I'd prefer to save these for PRCVCs, but if I have to pull them in order to not completely deplete my shard pool, I will do that. So again, I'm going to have to feel that out as it goes. That's it. It's time to actually pull some shards. In addition to the 10 times champion, I'm still looking for a Kymar. I'm still looking for a Duchess. Herndeg is out there. There are still a lot of great champions that I could use on my main account here, but I think the big win would be Kymar if I could get him, especially because he would help me in the event dungeon right away. Get that level 30 farm going. But okay, so that's it. Let's start with that Remnant summons. Man, it would be nice if this hit. Come on, give me red. Show me red. Epic. That's not a bad epic, and he is a void epic, so it's 350 points rather than 250. That's not bad. I don't know if that's what happens with Remnant. Yeah, you can get an epic or a void epic. So get an extra 100 points there for the champion chase, which is not so bad. Okay, now let's grab our sacred shards. Okay, here we go. First pull. I've got room, so I can just pull all the shards. It's an epic. It's not a good epic. There are some epics that would be helpful. I think Phoenix would get me a +4 Phoenix. That wouldn't be bad. Umatogi, not really a champion I care about that much. I do have my Geomancer now, so copies of Geomancer will let me empower him. All right. Pull number 4. Maruka, not a bad epic. Not a bad epic. Come on, let's see some gold. Let's see some gold. I've got a bad feeling about today. I've got a bad feeling. I don't like this. My last event was not a good one either. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Oh, cool. All right, Gwendolyn. That's actually really cool. I do not own this champion. This is a very good champion. Pretty cool. It's got the triple hitter on the A1 that can extend the duration of debuffs, which is actually really nice. I like that skill. AoE with a decreased speed and leech plus a decreased accuracy on enemies. This is under 2 or more debuffs. Okay, so it's conditional, but it is a 100% chance to land the previous 2 debuffs. So that's a pretty good shot there. AoE places increased accuracy on all allies. That's very nice. A chance of stealing all block debuffs buffs from all enemies. That's pretty cool too. If at least one block debuffs buff was stolen, places a block debuffs buff on all allies for 1 turn. So that's a way to take not only block debuffs off your enemy, but get it onto your team. That's a pretty cool switch. And then finally, the Bird of Prey passive. This champion's crit damage increases by 1% for every 10 points of accuracy they have. Grants an extra turn after this champion uses any 3 skills. Let me know if you have Gwendolyn the Silent. Where do you use her? What's her best case use? Because honestly, I don't know. I've heard about her being used in Fire Knight hard mode, I think, because of the triple hitter and a couple other things. But I honestly don't know that I need her there. So I'm wondering where else she would go into, like maybe a Hydra team. She might be good in Hydra. Help me out. Let me know. Okay, so that's exciting. But we still got more we need to pull. Let's see if we can get a second legendary. I'd love to get back to, like, just give it to me right away. Like, don't make me wait. Just give me another one. But I am pretty excited about Gwendolyn. Okay. Missionary. Looks like Bushy. We're going to do at least 2 more after this, and then we'll check our points. With there. Okay. We might go, like I said, all the way down to... Ooh, we got another one. Stock. Doesn't this always happen where you pull the fusion champion right after the fusion ends? He is still in my fragment collector. So I'm going to have a double stock. Now, that's not a bad thing for my faction guardians. Like, I don't have many faction guardians in the Ogren tribes. In fact, this might be my first. Or maybe my second. He's a very good champion. I should be excited to get another copy of him, but I'm kind of like, I can't believe it. Is he even worth building 2 of? That's kind of an interesting idea. It's always good to see 2 golds in one event. So I'm not too fussed right now. Let me go take a look at the point totals just to see where I stand on the reward track. Okay, so I'm close. I'm at 3,700, so I've got 1,800 more to go for these fragments. But again, I could pull a number of those points from fragment champions, including my copy of stock, who I've not yet pulled. But I think I'm going to pull a few more. I think I'm going to pull 4 more. I think that's what I'm going to do. So that will be, yeah, that would be good. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's see if we can get a third one. I don't think I've ever pulled 3 legendaries in the same event. Now I kind of want to. That would be exciting. Cormac. All right, Mordecai. My Mordecai is actually still level 50, but he's worth an empowerment. Come on, let's get one more. Let's get one more. Another. Oh, this is Mistress of Hymns. I thought that was Luthea again. Okay. Come on. Ugh. I said I could pull all the way down to 10, but I think I'm going to stop there. That should get me to 4,700, which means I need 800 more points. I need 800 more points to get this. That shouldn't be a problem. I think I might be able to get one more of the Sabbatha, the fragment epic from the fusion event, before the end of this Champion Chase tournament. We still have a day and 11 hours. And I think I have enough events. So that's going to be another 350 points. And then I could just do the rest with mystery shards. Or, you know, if I get desperate, I guess I could pull one of my epics from the fragment collector. So that feels pretty good. Still a decent day. 2 legendaries. 2 good legendaries, too. 1 new to the account. 1 is not new to the account. Although technically, I guess he's going to be new because I haven't pulled him out of the fragment collector yet. And then it's... yeah, stock is the other one, and then the epic, I guess, is going to be the 3rd red dot here. Yep, Sabbatha. Yeah, so not too bad. I wanted to check out my faction guardians here for the Ogren tribes. Yeah, I don't have any yet, so I think that's going to be my first one. 10% HP is not going to be a bad thing for my Ogren legendaries. I'm going to take a quick look at which ones I own. Yeah, just Blizzar really is the one that I use. I do have Ugir built. I don't have Korgar built or Drakul built. So stock is probably going to be the one that I actually end up using the most. So that's pretty cool. All right, that is it for me today. Let me know if you hit on your Sacred Shard pulls, or if you had maybe a Prism Shard pull, if you hit on that. And if you missed, you can let me know that as well, because you know I will commiserate with you, because I frequently miss as well. All right, that is it for me today. Thank you so much for hanging out. I have been Colred. I will see you in another video soon.